The People Station, 104.7 WLOU. Streaming live at WLOUFM.com. 847, it's Mark Guns live in Louisville, 68 with a daytime high of 84. And as I've been telling you, coming up this Saturday afternoon, the Omega Sci-Fi fraternity presents Sundresses, Seersucker, and Stilettos, the Day Affair, happening at the Louisville Sports and Education Center at 3209 Muhammad Ali. And I've been, stick around because I will have your chance to win tickets about this. And I called in an expert because I've had this, I guess the best way to describe it is fear of wearing seersucker.
Right.
And it sounds irrational, I know. And I don't know why, but I brought Andre Wilson in to talk me off the ledge. Andre is the CEO. And basically, when it comes to style, when it comes to fashion, whether it be in the everyday world or the corporate world, Andre is the go-to guy. And
you're kind.
no, for real though, because I mean your background is rather extensive, and you've worked with a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
And I feel like within our community, you may be one of those best kept secrets.
Right. I don't always want to be the best kept secret. It's not great for business, but it's. But I'm moving out here. So I mean, I love fashion, and my clients range in all shapes and sizes, to men and women, to ages. The youngest person I was down is 11 years old, and then to maybe 85 years old. So it runs the spectrum.
And you've been doing this for quite a while.
Yes. I started working in clothing. It was a job when the first job, like 16 years old, right? But I also was that kid in middle school, maybe 6th, 7th, 8th grade, especially 8th grade. I was wearing a suit. You
were that kid.
I was that guy.
Okay.
I was that odd kid.
So did you have the empty briefcase?
I actually, no, I had a saxophone case, actually. I had a saxophone case.
Okay,
So, yeah, I played in the middle school band. And I was, like everybody, if you look at my yearbook picture, it's, T-shirts, polos, and I'm in a suit, so... But it always was a passion of mine. And then I started working in retail like 16, and then was like a duck to water. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. And then I began to just study. It became not only the psychology of how people get dressed, why they get dressed, why they wear what they wear. It's become a deeper study and journey for me as I, mature in my business.
And that's something I do want to get into, because we were talking off mic about the psychology of clothing.
Yes.
And just within the 5 minutes that you and I were talking, there's quite a bit of stuff that I've learned. Let's talk about some basic. One of the early premises that I even mentioned is that men's fashion hasn't really changed much when you look at the bigger picture.
Right.
However, women's fashion changes on the drop of a dime.
Yes, it does.
So we have a template that we've always stuck by, that designers have always stuck by, and they really haven't strayed too far out of that template.
Right.
I'm old enough to remember the narrow lapels, the skinny ties. Right. But the premise was always the same, with the different cuts of suits and different cuts of jackets and everything. And as basic as this is, it's hard to get men's clothing wrong, but somehow we managed to do that. What are some of the common mistakes that we as men make when it comes to clothing?
I think that one of the common mistakes is that, one, we don't maybe get dressed enough. We don't get dressed enough. It's, I'm going to, wear my uniform. And sometimes a uniform can actually be the work uniform.
Right.
Or sometimes your suit can be the work uniform.
Right.
You get home, you throw on your comfortable jeans and your tee or whatever that is. But I don't think we get dressed enough. But some of the common mistakes that we make is, number one, the fit, first of all.
Yes.
Okay? The fit, first of all, I don't care what you wore in high school or college at your most athletic shape.
Right.
Sometimes the fit, sometimes the suit didn't shrink. You got bigger. Right. So finding something that fits well, number one. Also having it tailored. That is so important. I find a lot of men don't get it tailored. The pants are too long. The sleeves are hanging over your knuckles.
Right.
And that's something that if you just have your suit tailored right, just that alone can be so clean and upgrade you automatically. Because typically if you see somebody in a suit's too big, well, he's got on somebody else's suit. He never wears that. It looks sloppier, you know. I would say also that we don't venture out in color enough. We kind of have our navy, khaki, black, or whatever. And we talked about this earlier. That we stick in our lane. We do the same thing. And also, let's be real, the pressure for us is not as intense as it is for women.
You are absolutely right.
I use this with clients. I'm like, okay, if you guys go to a gala, go to a function, you can wear a black suit, a black tuxedo. And if you just pull that off right and it's well tailored, you're going to be a G. You are going to look amazing. Everybody's going to compliment you every year on how dapper you look. Ask me if she's going to wear the same dress every year. It's not happening.
She's not. She's not.
So the pressure, societally, the pressure is different. And then I also think that, I'd love to see us venture out and color more and take more chances. And also try different things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You will be okay. But I would say fit, taking chances, wearing color, and actually, trying. Sometimes the guys are like, look, all I have to do is throw on a jeans and a pair of shirt and I'm good. A pair of jeans and a shirt and I'm good. And so I would say just really giving it that effort.
You have been involved in styling folks in corporate America, some folks in the fashion world, and speaking of which, a mutual friend of ours just made history here in the 502 with her appearance in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit fashion show. Shannon Burton.
Yeah, Shannon Burton, man. I'm so proud of her, man. She was incredible. She called me right before she was about to submit the video to really audition for Sports Illustrated, and I'm so proud of her, man. And she did an amazing job.
Yes, she did. And the unusual thing about Shannon is that she is a 50-ish model. She started modeling at age 35.
Yes,
and just look her up on social media. She's an absolutely beautiful human being and a wonderful model.
Instagram, the Atomic Blonde, she kills it, man. And I encourage her to keep posting, every day. But she's one of our, I think Louisville has a lot of secrets and great people that sometimes we don't always recognize until other people recognize them. They've always been here,
right?
So I really, she's been doing it and she will keep doing it, and it looks amazing.
All right, so Shannon is a success story, and hopefully I want to get into the psychology of fashion, because we were talking earlier about certain colors meaning certain things. Yes. I told you that, I was big into monochrome. Back in the day, I wore a lot of black.
Yes.
Until I was told by another fashion consultant, look, you need to mix in a lot of some color.
Right.
And I'd had a color analysis done. And for those that don't know, as close to my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, color analysis basically figures out what?
It basically figures out what colors look best on you and your skin tone, your features, and then sometimes they break them down, and I'm going to kind of simplify it. But some people fall into a summer, which are probably more pastel colors. Maybe you can be a fall winter, which are deeper jewel tones, which is, let's say a cobalt blue, garnet red, right? Those kinds of, and then sometimes you can have more fair complete, even like redheads will be more of the, I'll say the fall colors, where you have your greens, your
olives,
siennas and olives. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so the color analysis, and so it helps you not look boring if you, and then gives you some colors. And then also I think it makes you feel safe, like, hey, this is my color and this looks good on me. And I find that there are very few colors that people kind of can't wear. Some people know, hey, look, some people with your complexion, sometimes if you wear a certain yellow or a certain green, you might look jaundiced. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't want that. But most colors you can wear. But what I feel is that people dress the way they feel inside. And so typically when I see somebody wearing a lot of black, if that's not the industry that you're in, then it's kind of I'm feeling unconfident about my weight, or don't talk to me. I haven't had my coffee. Don't talk to me. I'm unapproachable. That's the vibe I'm sending. Or it is the music they listen to. So Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think during my black phase, it was a mix of. There was a certain look that I was going
now,
for.
When is this? Give me a circa
1990-ish.
90.
Avery Brooks, A Man Called Hawk.
Okay. Yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
It was that look I was going for, and there was a little bit of being unapproachable.
Oh, yeah. And also 90s were going through the NWA phase too. You know what I mean? So that's what I also in fashion that you mentioned earlier how. In maybe the 60s, they were skinny lapels.
Right.
And so fashion cycles about every 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so typically and this is as simple as it gets, what your father wore, you don't want to wear it.
Right.
So you go the opposite way. So in the 60s, 50s, 60s, you start having the skinny lapels, skinny ties. Mm-hmm. What do we do in the 70s? Big lapels.
Big butterfly collars.
Right. Exactly. Big exaggerated.
Bell bottoms.
Exactly.
Stack heels.
Exactly. Right. And it also is the time. Fashion also is influenced by not only the music of the time, but also the kind of the politics of the time, mm-hmm. what's happening in the environment and the atmosphere of the time. So 60s, what is it? Free love, it's psychedelics, it's tie-dye, it's flowy.
Right.
70s is about kind of empowerment. And so you're doing the opposite of what your parents did. You're kind of doing your own thing. And I think 70s is when we probably really broke out and got crazy. Mm-hmm. We just threw everything. Like whatever hadn't been made before, we just did it,
Eleganza.
Right. So it just went for it. Then 80s, you start to see technology kind of come into music, and you hear neons are starting to come into it, and you go ahead.
And I noticed that clothing back in the 80s started to get a little tighter when it came to overall fit. The pants weren't as wide. There tended to be a little bit more of a structure.
Right, because once again, what were your parents wearing? They were in the 60s, 70s, they were wearing bell bottoms, mm-hmm. okay? And they were wearing flare legs and bell bottoms, right? So in the 80s, you tighten it up. Just like, so remember in early 2000, my son said he was having a throwback day in high school. Okay. And I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? 80s, 70s? He said, we're going to 2000s. And it hurt me.
Wow.
It hurt me. It stung just a minute ago, didn't it? It stung. He said, we're having 2000s Day, and I'm like, wait a minute, but it was 20 years ago. So remember how everybody was in an uproar because everybody was sagging. Everybody was, but now what are the rappers doing? Skinny jeans. Mm-hmm. It's, you know what I mean? So it always cycles about every 20 years, and you don't want to dress like your parents did. That's really the main motivation of fashion changing, but I find that yes, we go, but it cycles about every 20 years, and everything came back from hammer pants to bell bottoms to we name it something different, and then the next generation says, oh my God, this is so cool, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, and you are definitely seeing that. And then throughout the changes in fashion, there remain constants.
Yes.
There are looks that simply don't change because they're so classic. They're so iconic.
Exactly.
There are slight variations, but the look is still the same.
Exactly.
Kicking it with fashion expert Andre Wilson. And we've been talking about men's fashion and getting into the phenomenon of my fear of seersucker. But before we get into that, tell folks how they can get a hold of you, because I know you do consultations.
Yes.
And the like for not only corporate entities, but individuals as well, right?
Yes. You can find me at Style Icon on Facebook. You can find me also on Instagram at Style Icon LLC. And you can go to my website, Andre Wilson Design, and find me there as well.
All right. So let's get into this, because I've been thinking about this ever since this event was announced. Mm-hmm. And I had this sense of dread because, one, I, in my opinion, have never looked good in seersucker.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's an actual, I honestly don't look good in this fabric.
Right.
Or are there some other implications, historical implications?
Right.
I get an image whenever I see it. Of course, you see it around the Kentucky Derby every year. And maybe it's because of that I get a little bit of a uneasy feeling about it.
Right.
What am I missing, or am I spot on? Is it a little bit of both?
It's probably, let me say this, that sometimes people have what I'll call image association.
Okay.
And that image means something to you. Now, whether it looks good on you or not, that image just means something to you. I had a client that I was consulting, and she was in interior design, and she'd work with color all day long.
Right.
But she never would wear lipstick. There was nothing wrong with it, but it just would have made it look great on her, but she hated lipstick. And so I started to drill down, and I just wouldn't let it go because she would never wear it. She was just really adamant about not wearing lipstick. As we get down to it, she just said, "Look, Andre, just stop. It reminds me of my mother." I said, how do you feel about your mother? She said, "I hate her."
Okay.
So that image association, so now I don't know when you think about seersucker, you are my client, you're going to be my client for this next, minute. And I would talk to you about, what does it remind you of? Does it make you think, Derby? Does it make you think plantations? Does it make you think about, the South? What does that? Because those colors will look good on you, but what association, image do you see when you think about seersucker?
On the negative, you've nailed it.
Okay.
It's the antebellum South.
There you go.
On the positive, though, Forrest Gump.
Okay, we love Forrest. We love Forrest. And also, when you wear it, you go in, they have so many beautiful, there's blue and white, brown and white, all that. Try it on. You can put the boater hat on, or a nice brim. We have some incredible stores around here that you can get a nice brim from.
Right.
And really dress it up with a color. I would also say add an accent color. We were talking about your power color being red.
Right.
I'd add, a red tie and red pocket square and have fun with it. Even throw on the nice, maybe those, white, maybe the Bucks or whatever those shoes are, have fun with it. But also, when you're dealing with that image association, know that also that you're giving it a new meaning as well when you wear it.
And speaking of that, because of this event, the Qs have been doing this for years.
Yes.
And it's always been a huge, huge success. It's one of their main fundraising events. And so whenever it comes to that, I don't get that uneasy feeling about it.
Right.
But I think just going back again to my initial phobia, I get those flashbacks to, to the antebellum South.
Yes.
And that old Southern gentleman sitting on the pond, looking out over
his slaves.
Over his slaves, and I know the origins of the fabric itself are 180 degrees away from all of that.
Exactly. It really was just a cooler fabric that you wore in the South, just like a linen, just like seersucker. It's a cooler fabric, it's a breathable cotton, all of that, so it's a lighter fabric. Those are the kind of the origins of it. And then it was, that was the main kind of, Georgia is rich with cotton and industry, for fabrics as well, and textiles. But I would say now that you can give it a new meaning and bring it back to like when you put it on. I mean, and really wear it. Go out and give yourself some time to try on a couple. There's some great stores around here. I can give you some, that do a great job, and they can put you in some updated seersucker and have fun with it, Like I said, making it your own, adding some accents to it, because in the fabric, with your complexion, you're gonna look great in it. It's gonna pop off of the the salt and pepper beard. It's gonna look great.
And that's one of the things that I do have fun with is in shopping for clothing, because those are the subtleties that I look out for.
Yes.
I actually got an education through one of the national men's store chains.
Okay.
As far as how to make certain colors pop.
Okay.
Subtly. So you get a jacket that has an underlying red tone to it. You look at the jacket, you don't see it, but until you pair it with this shirt, or this pair of pants, or this tie, or whatever,
and you can bring that color out.
That color pop.
Exactly.
So that's the fun that I have with shopping for clothing.
Yes.
But I think because again, I defer to you when it comes to all things men's fashion. So I am going to have fun with this. And I do feel a little more at ease about it because I know where the phobia comes from.
Exactly.
And I know that, for the Qs, this is such an important event for them, and it's such a successful event for them, and it's an event that I'm honored to be hosting. So I'm gonna dive into this head first.
You should, and you should because I really feel like I love that this is happening because I don't know if we have enough events to get dressed for, so I love everybody. I would encourage everybody to go out, get a new seersucker suit and, make it your own, add your accents, I love also the lapel flowers and, there's a store called Shirts, Ties, and Links and in the Westport Village. I mean, amazing feathered bow ties and pocket squares and lapel pins. Really go that extra mile and make it your own. And also you are assigning a new meaning to that because images are powerful and we have a lot of image association. So that reminds me of, or a lot of people do that. I see it all the time, but now you can redefine what that means in your own mind. And
it's kind of a weird position to be in, being in the public eye somewhat. Radio personalities tend to be the closest thing to television and movie personalities in any given city, other than news anchors and that type of thing. So we do have the freedom to express ourselves a little more as far as our clothing is concerned. And a lot of the folks here in radio do a damn good job at that. Some are a little more conservative than others. Some are just kind of out there, and I think it depends on where it is that they work. And again, to your point, how they feel about themselves as far as what it is that they wear. So I'm getting an idea of what I want to do, and I know I want to incorporate red somehow into this, since that seems to be my quote-unquote power color. Grays tend to be friendly toward me as well.
Grays are safe.
But I also want to get out of so much being safe because of the nature of this event.
I'll tell you, this is what typically one of the things I do when I consult someone is I try to rewire them what clothing means to you. And from this point forward, I try to, especially in corporate America and when you start a business, now clothing is probably, I'd say, in the communication, it's nonverbal communication. And of the communication wheel, 7% or, words, 30% is maybe another, your tone. 55% is nonverbal. So your clothing is a part. Your clothing is, I think, probably one of the most underutilized business tools. And one of the things that I do is I tell people, don't ask how do I look or does this look good on me. Ask, what am I saying? Because you're going to send a message. So I always have a client pick 3 words. And when you walk into the room, man, I just met Mark. He looks so powerful, smart, educated, whatever those 3 words are. And I would encourage anybody, when you think about your style, what are your 3 words? And when you, in the first 10 to 15 seconds, first 30 seconds, because you're going to say something, is it what you want to say? And so I would say, what am I saying? And, for those words, do you want to be, powerful? Do you want to be, up to date? Whatever those are for you, then look at your wardrobe and say, do I look powerful, smart, educated, handsome, whatever those are, and use that as a template to get dressed by.
3 power words for. I'm gonna keep that. We got some more talking to do when we get off the air. So once again, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can find me at Style Icon LLC on Instagram, Style Icon on Facebook, and AndreWilsonDesign.com.
All right, man. You don't know how much I really appreciate this. You have successfully talked me off the ledge. So I am going to go wholeheartedly into my seersucker journey.
Dive into it.
And I will think about 3 words.
Yes, 3 words.
That I want to convey whenever I walk into this event on Saturday. I don't know what those words are right now.
Well, and it's a personal dive. Because what we do is we don't think about ourselves like that.
Right.
We don't do the introspect kind of thinking about ourselves. We throw it on, is it in fashion? Do I look good? And then we also, it's kind of 50-50. I think I look good. Now, if I get a compliment, then I really look good.
Right.
If I get more than 3 compliments, I think
then
I'm doing
great.
You know what I mean? So, but what are those 3 words for you? How do you think about it? What do you want to say? You know, and so that's what I encourage everybody to do. And we always have those 3 words that we want to project. We just never think about it like that.